Hello, everybody. All right, my name is Ashley. I'm here with my coworker, Mary Beth, and we are avian care specialists with the American Eagle Foundation. We are so happy to be here today. Thank you, KCDC and Vet Center, for having us today. We are very excited for this partnership here. So the American Eagle Foundation has a mission to protect the bald eagle and other birds of prey, conserve their natural habitat, and educate the public about these beautiful creatures. So we are joyed to introduce you here to one of our feathered friends. This is Saphira. Saphira is a 6-year-old bald eagle. She is a female. And the bald eagle was selected as our national symbol of freedom here in the United States in 1872 on the Great Seal. And they were selected for their great independence and fierce beauty, which is greatly displayed by Saphira here. Now, she is a very much larger size. The females do weigh in much larger than the males. She weighs in she can range from about 11 to 12 pounds. The males can get as small as 6 to 7, so she is quite a large, beautiful female here. Saphira was rescued. She was actually hatched at the American Eagle Foundation under our breeding program. And we tried to release her to the wild, but unfortunately she did fail to thrive. She was not hunting on her own, and through her rehabilitation process, she became human imprinted, which means she relies on humans for her food and survival. But she is now a great educational ambassador that meets and inspires many people out in the public. But we will be here with Saphira today and another bald eagle. We will be out here later today, but we are proud to be here. The bald eagle shows a great conservation stories for the United States. Organizations like the American Eagle Foundation, due to their conservation efforts back in the 70s, the bald eagle was on the brink of extinction. Got down to about 470 nesting pairs in the lower 48, but due to conservation efforts like the American Eagle Foundation and many other great organizations and breeding programs, there are now over 10,000 breeding pairs across the lower 48, and the American Eagle Foundation has released over 400 bald eagles into the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. So thank you guys so much for having us, and we'll be around.
Good morning. That's a bit of a tough act to follow, but I'll do my best. So I'm Kim Henry. I'm chair of the Board of Commissioners for Knoxville's Community Development Corporation. On behalf of the board and the staff of KCDC, we welcome you to the groundbreaking that marks the official start of construction for Liberty Place. I'd like to ask each of the elected officials in the audience, if you could raise your hand. I believe there'll be a little more announcement about that in a few minutes, but thank you for being here. We acknowledge and appreciate your support. Today we'll break ground on housing specifically designated for veterans, and personally this is one of the more the projects I'm the most proud of being involved with KCDC. So this is a result of federal, state, and local leaders combining efforts to find a viable solution to a community issue. Now please join me in welcoming KCDC's Executive Director and CEO, Ben Bentley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing? Great. Woo! All right, good. Me too. I'm excited. So I'm going to flip to the talking points they prepared for me and then probably not use them. So this is super exciting. One of my former bosses, he was a Marine colonel, and he always said, no plan survives first contact with reality. And I feel like that's true with this project. We've been working on it now for 6 years off and on, but it's been important to us throughout that process to find the right partners, both on the supportive services piece and also on the building and construction piece. And I feel like we're there now. And what we're going to create is a 32-unit permanent supportive housing project for low-income and extremely low-income veterans. That's a pretty big deal, right? Yeah. So everybody here knows how critical it is to have that foundational place to call home, and we're so happy to be serving this group. So there are a lot of specific people that I want to recognize that without their participation actively in this project, it would not be happening. So our elected officials, and please hold your applause, a lot of great folks, but long list. Elected officials, KCDC commissioners don't get paid for the support they provide me, but they're kind of a big deal in my world. THDA, HUD, VA, there's a lot of VA folks in the crowd. The services they provide to our veterans, not only in East Tennessee, but across the country, is impeccable. Our design folks at Barbara McMurray, Jenkins and Stiles is our contractor, and then our financial partners, Wells Fargo and First Horizon. There's actually a couple of vets on our construction team. So Ryan Dobbs, who was the lead architect for us at BMA, Ken Block, who is also a consultant at BMA. We felt like it was important to incorporate people who have that experience of service to the country in the project, and that's been really critical, and I think it's made it a better project overall. One other thing I want to highlight about this one, this is actually our first foray, is that a word? Foray, I'm going to use that. Foray into solar. So there's going to be solar panels on this. We've partnered with Electric Power Research Institute, TVA, and Oak Ridge National Lab to be able to make that happen. It's a pretty big deal. It's going to lower, obviously, energy consumption and utility bills as well. I would also like to thank a couple of KCDC employees that have been instrumental in this project. Jim Hatfield, John Turner, Marissa Mawazin, and Kim Traim. From our team, they've really helped us get to where we are right now. I'm confident I left some folks out, sorry. But I do want to, at this point, call to the stage somebody who's been a huge supporter of veterans in East Tennessee. I know he has a place in his heart for them. One of my favorite congressmen in East Tennessee, Congressman Tim Burchett.
I think when he said that, Glenn Jacobs and I were sitting beside each other, and some guy yesterday said something about Peyton Manning, he's going to be teaching at UT or whatever, and they said, he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. And I said, obviously you're not running for office, Is there any other, I was walking up here and I see my good friend, Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally. People always say, can you get me a meeting with the governor? And I said, well, he's not going to do anything. I said, if you want to get something done, you better go see Randy McNally. Randy, thank you for being here, brother, as always. But I don't know why I pay these people to write these notes, because I never follow them. But, and also I want to thank the public defender. I saw him back there, and he allowing us to park in his parking lot. So that was a good thing. But I was walking up and I was thinking about this community and what we do for our folks and what we do for our veterans. And I saw my friend Gwen McKenzie right there. And a dear friend of this community, Tank Strickland, passed away. And Gwen stepped up in that position and took care of family and took care of the community in that regards. And that is what this community is all about. We reach out and we help our friends and our veterans. There's no one we owe a greater debt to. I come from a family of veterans. My daddy fought in the Second World War. He fought the Japanese out in the Pacific in the United States Marine Corps. He was on 2 major invasions, Peleliu and Okinawa. And Daddy talked to me about these young guys that would come off the line after combat, and they would be just shook up, and they'd be just they had different names for it. Of course, now it's PTSD, and they just bomb shock or whatever. And they'd literally just give them a shot of morphine, stick them on a boat, and send them back home. And that was all they got. That was all they got. And that's pathetic. That is pathetic. We ought to hang our heads in shame that we ever allowed that to ever happen to the fighting men and women of this country. My Uncle Roy died fighting in Europe a few days after D-Day in the hedgerows, and not a day would go by my mama wouldn't talk about her brother Roy. He was too old to go. He enlisted. They sent him home. He went back, and then he ended up dying about 15 days after D-Day. And I think about those folks every day. My mama flew an airplane during the war, technically not a veteran. She was in the Civilian Air Corps, but that's still pretty cool for a little girl out of Cheatham County. Didn't have electricity until she's a senior in high school. She was, pardon my language, this will be another $1 in the swear jar, but my mama was a badass. So I'm proud of her. And I say all that about our veterans because there's several of y'all back there, and I'm going to want to identify y'all in a second. But y'all didn't do this. You didn't ask for it. You don't want a pat on the back. You don't want anything. You just want to live your lives in a normal way. And this, I'm proud to be a small part of this, able to get some funding. And y'all know how tight I am. And I don't vote for anything that costs money, but dadgummit, we fought for this and we got the funding. This is what your tax dollars should be paying for. These are the people we ought to be taking care of. And that's what this Liberty Place will do. It'll provide a roof over their heads, and it'll give them some other supportive services they need. And I always close with this, and I know my veterans are out there, and they know what I'm fixing to say, but as a Christian, I'm not a very good one. I'm not up here proselytizing, but I am a Christian, and I owe the men and women everything I have in my life that served our country, that wore our country's uniform. I owe them everything I have in my life but my salvation. And I thank y'all for that incredible opportunity you've given me. So thank you very much. Y'all quit clapping. That's why we need term limits. Y'all keep clapping. I'm just going to keep talking. I'm like a Baptist preacher. You say amen one more time, and we're going to run those offering plates again and again. We'll never make it to the Sizzler. Those Methodists will beat us there. But hey, if you're a veteran, please raise your hand. Raise your hand. And of course, if any of y'all ever need me, please call my office, 523-3772. You ask for Tim and you'll get me that coming. So thank you. At this point, I have a great opportunity to introduce my good friend, Kevin DuBose. They hyphenated it DuBose, so I know that I would say it, the Director of Housing and Neighborhoods for the City of Knoxville. Kevin, come on up here, brother.
Thank you, Congressman. I'm glad he said my name because I want to make it clear that I'm not Mayor Kincannon, in case you didn't know. But I do want to say that she regrets not being here. She would be here, but she's in Washington, D.C. I want to thank everyone for being here. The elected officials have been mentioned, but I want to just take a second to point out once again our council members who have graciously provided funding for many of these projects and making some of this happen. So I want to say thank you to Gwen McKenzie for being here, as well as Lynn Fugit and Councilman Testerman. So let's give them a round of applause. Any given moment in our city, there are 150 plus veteran homeless persons, and that's not acceptable to any of us. That's why we're so grateful for the work of KCDC and others to make this project happen. 32 permanent supportive housing, first class housing. You know, I had someone mention to me, hey, you keep building all of these. Yeah. I think that was a sign. Wrap it up, Kevin. The person mentioned that we were building luxury housing. And I said, hey, just because it looks good doesn't mean it's not for poor folks. It's not, doesn't mean that there are persons there who really need it. And so grateful for the projects that we're building. We have invested in over $38 million worth of housing in the last 4 years. And get this, that's leveraged over $500 million. And eventually, when they're all completed, 2,000 units added. So that's good news to the affordable housing strategy. Now, we believe in permanent supportive housing, and that's what this project is. You know, a place that I can be, and I don't have a time limit for being there. And this is the 8th one that we've invested in. And, you know, once this is completed, there will be, you know, services available to those who need it as well. Collaborations like this, we have to braid the funding, and it's very complicated. So it's a mix of local, state, and federal funding involved. And this is a great project and very timely. And since my time has been cut a little bit short by the volume, I'm going to toss it to someone else. So help me welcome to the stage Councilman Gwen McKenzie.
The generator ran out of gas, so anybody got a gas can? Let us know.
I will try to talk loud. I typically don't have a loud voice, but I'll try my best to talk loud. So thank you, Karen, for that introduction. Let me first say it's good to see everyone this morning, but I want to also take a moment to say a special thank you to our veterans that are here. Once again, let's give them a round of applause. Made for all of us. We all know that affordable housing is needed in Knoxville, and Liberty Place goes one step further. What makes Liberty Place special is that it's designed for a vulnerable population, which is our veterans, in need of permanent and supportive housing. And so, as Representative Burchett pointed out, we owe them a tremendous debt of gratitude that we'll never be able to pay. And so to me, this is one small move in the right direction of doing that. Supportive housing ensures that we can provide the resources they need to thrive. And today I'm really excited, not just because we have great weather, but because this is the second groundbreaking for affordable housing that we have had in the city in the last 3 weeks. And it's been all in my district, the 6th district. Absolutely moving in the right direction to take care of the least of these. I would be remiss if I didn't say that this groundbreaking is the result of multiple entities being committed to working together to find ways to make these projects happen. And so for that, I think that we owe everyone on this stage, and not on this stage, that went into planning this. I think, Ben, you said you guys have been working on this vision for 6 years. And so these things don't happen overnight. You may not hear about them until we have the groundbreakings, but there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into this. So can we please give a round of applause to everyone? And so as we talk about entities that have come together to help make this happen, please join me in welcoming Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs.
You want my speech?
Sure. They do the same thing. They write it for me, and I never use them. So, thank y'all for being here, and thank you for having me here. Before I begin, I would like to recognize just really quickly the state and local officials who are here. Some have already been mentioned, but nevertheless, we have County Commission Chairlady Corgie Durrett, County Commissioner Carson Daly, County Commissioner Kim Frazier, County Commissioner Martin Jay, along with Public Defender Eric Lutton, and this is his parking lot and part of the facility here, along with State Senator Richard Briggs and Lieutenant Governor Randy McCown. I also think Riley Lovingood from U.S. Senator Bill Hagerty's office is here as well. So let's give them a round of applause. Did I miss anybody? Okay, as Tim always says, or Congressman Burton, sorry. Tim. If I did, I'm mad. It's just early.
When I mowed most of these people's yard, they call me Tim.
So there you go. While only around 6.4% of the U.S. population are veterans, according to the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans, nearly 13% of the homeless adult population are vets. Veterans are 50% more likely than the average American to become homeless, and they remain homeless longer. One of the biggest risks for veteran homelessness is a lack of support after discharge. The good news is HUD reports that since 2009, the number of homeless vets has decreased by half. But, as we've heard these statistics, it's still a big issue, and one that requires our attention and a lot of work that needs to be done. We can never pay the debt that we are veterans, and I think the least we can do is help those who need it. That's why Knox County is so proud to have provided the land on which we're standing. My prayer is that this lot will be transformed into a place of hope and healing for those to whom we owe so much. I'd like to thank all of our partners who are working in this arena. And I was supposed to introduce someone from Tennessee Housing Development Agency. But instead, I'm going to introduce Angela May, who is from the VA. Thank you.
James H. Pullen VA Medical Center at Mountain Home, which serves Knoxville, and many of you may be familiar with our Knoxville outreach programs here. So thank you all for being here, and thank you so much, Congressman, for identifying the veterans in our crowd. You're who we're here to serve. I'd like to thank everyone involved for your efforts in support of Liberty Place. Great name, by the way. This project began with an idea and a partnership. Nearly 3 years of passion, dedication, hard work has finally brought this to fruition, and we are so excited. Collaborations like this make a positive difference to our veterans, and that is something to celebrate. The words homeless and veteran should never be spoken together. It's a shame that those two words go together in your remarks. The VA is committed to ending homelessness among veterans. And in 2010, the VA started an initiative to reduce homelessness among veterans. We have reduced homelessness in the U.S. by 55% among veterans, with an 11% decrease since 2020. In 2022, VA established a goal of housing 38,000 veterans. VA exceeded that goal by 6.3% and housed 40,401 veterans that year. Our own local VA, the Mountain Home VA, exceeded their individualized goal as a part of that by 36% and housed 232 veterans. VA renews that goal for 2023. And we cannot reach this goal alone. We have to have our community partnerships. So we thank all of you for partnering with VA in serving veterans. By adding 32 units, Liberty Place will make housing accessible to the veterans we serve. Permanent housing, thank you. The new units will be fully furnished with utilities and will include conveniences like a solar system for electricity, elevator, a community room, and on-site maintenance. Liberty Place will ensure that our veterans have not only access to long-term housing, but also supportive services from VA. VA will have an on-site office there with comprehensive case management to help our veterans sustain housing, achieve their goals, and thrive. Most importantly, and I thank the Congressman for identifying our veterans. I'd love for you to stand or raise your hand where you are, because I'd like to say that VA is committed to you. We are committed to fulfilling Lincoln's promise to care for him who shall have borne the battle. We owe you a debt that cannot be repaid. It is without you, because without your sacrifice, we wouldn't be standing here freely today. And now I'd like to welcome Ben back as we get ready to close and start the ribbon cutting ceremony. Thank you.
All right, going to be brief here. VA is awesome. Thank you all so much for your partnership in this. Thanks to the American Eagle Foundation. That was amazing, right? And they're going to be around afterwards, so yeah, give them a hand. I think we have about 13 seconds to get a picture with the Congressman. Is that what you said, 13 seconds? So we need to get over there to the dirt piles. If you're a board member, an elected official, or part of the project team, please join us for the official groundbreaking.
Sand in your shovel. And then look up. And look up. Look this way. Look right here. Look up. That's it. All right, we're going to do 3, 2, 1 and toss. 3, 2, 1.